Guys, what's up? How's it going? It's John, Gamester81. I'm here with my good friend Jeffrey. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey man, what's going on, John? It's been a bit.
Dude, it has been a while. Here back with another game talk, and we wanted to talk about the new, well, they haven't really officially announced it yet, but they're about to announce it at GDC. Google is in the works of a potential new console. I believe the code name is Yeti. What are your thoughts about this, man?
The Project Yeti, though, all I can hear is like Chewbacca screams when I'm seeing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. I can't even do it that well. Initially, like when you brought this up, I was like, is this the one that I heard that they were going to do with Sega? However, looking more into it, there's really no mention of Sega. I don't know if that was just a rumor, because I think everybody's hot on the Google bandwagon right now.
Right. Yeah, from my understanding, research, it's a cloud-based console potentially.
Yeah.
They haven't, they're going to announce it as of filming this. They haven't really announced much about it, but I'm assuming, Google Assistants will probably be integrated somehow into this thing. And
so how I see this is, like the cloud-based that they're mentioning is like you're going to have. You ever hear of a Chromecast?
I have. Yeah.
So, like, you're going to have this little USB dongle, and I think what it's going to do is you're going to take this little USB dongle, and I'm showing a USB dongle, but it's not Chromecast. And you'll plug it in, and it's going to communicate to Google servers, and also probably have some kind of Bluetooth connectivity in it, kind of like your 8-bit DOS, which I actually have one of those over here, too, one of your 8-bit DOS, which will have, like, a little bit of a way to connect to the internet, as well as connect to a controller. And it's going to stream the game over the internet fully, and you won't have to have hardware at all. It'll just run everything on the back end on Google's systems. So it's going to require very fast internet.
Google Plus or YouTube? Because doesn't Google own YouTube, right? So
it would probably go through a dedicated server that Google's going to run. Okay. That way, just think like Google's going to have all their warehouses, and they're going to have architecture set up so it can run these games with no lag.
Sure.
And so instead of having a PlayStation, an Xbox, or a Google box in your house, all you're going to have to do is connect that sucker up to the internet some way, whether that's a USB or just like the Chromecast is actually HDMI plug. So... But, it's just going to be that.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because you mentioned you probably need some high-speed internet to do this.
Absolutely.
It's going to be no physical games. It'd be interesting to see what kind of games. Now, here's the thing, too. They hired, I forget her name. Her name is Jade Raymond, I think it is her name. And she worked for...
Jade Raymond.
She worked for Ubisoft, EA, some major players in the industry. So the question is, are they going to come up with some exclusive games? Are we looking at AAA titles? Or are we looking at like indie type of games that are?
There was a test called Project Stream that was done, and they used Assassin's Creed Odyssey as the test bed for Google to test doing cloud-based infrastructure. And so, like, Ubisoft is already on board.
What is?
I haven't seen how the results are, but I know that they were pretty happy with what they found. And what they're going to do is they're going to continually tweak and dial everything in to the point where it's going to run perfectly, because it's Google. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So besides for Jade Raymond, there's a couple really big names that they hired on. I don't know if you heard Phil Harrison, who is a former Sony and Microsoft exec. But he actually was instrumental with helping launch the PlayStation Now service. Okay. So there's a streaming service. Jack Busser, he was Sony's game streaming director. So there's another streamer. Sure. And then you had Richard Marks, which Richard Marks created the PlayStation Move and the Sony VR headset.
Okay.
All of those with Jade Raymond, who is, Assassin's Creed. She was a co-creator of Assassin's Creed and later part of EA. And then, you're going to have Ubisoft on board. I know that there was an announcement with id Software, so you probably see some kind of Doom.
Doom,
if they can make
Wolfenstein
Doom work on the, if you can see Doom working on the Switch, we're gonna see that working on a Chromecast based, or a Project Yeti cloud based system.
If this is like a USB device, that means the hardware is going to be pretty small. So hopefully the price point will be decent. Hopefully we're not looking like hundreds of dollars for this thing, and we're looking probably more in the price range of like, it's hard to speculate, but I'm guessing like, I don't know, like less than $50. You know, if it's really, we'll see.
Well,
I mean,
well, they announced they showed the patent for the controller, and the controller looks kind of like a Switch Pro controller. It doesn't have any bells and whistles, no little touch pads like they do on the PlayStation 4. Nothing crazy, but it's going to have Bluetooth. It's going to have no lag, and it's going to have to be high quality. So, I mean, that'll probably at least be a $60 controller. And then you got the dongle, which is going to cost a couple bucks, probably $20 to $40 minimum. So you're looking at $100 probably. I mean, reasonably. So, I mean, that's not bad just to have an actual game system, especially if they have killer apps. So, what are your thoughts on this right now with what we know?
It sounds interesting. It's, I don't know. I mean, is there a market for it? I suppose there is for the younger audience, perhaps. You know, maybe the, I don't know. I mix on it. To me, it doesn't sound like my type of console, because I'm a retro guy. I like the physical hardware, right? So, but I think I see with the millennials, I can see where this would do very well. I mean, it sounds like they brought kind of an A team together. Look, Google has a huge pocketbook, right? They have a ton of money they can put into this thing. They see the writing on the wall with gaming. If you can get a game like Fortnite playing on this thing, and you can get it for fairly affordable, you can stream. Fairly easy. You know, I think this system could do fairly well.
I almost consider this like the ecstasy of gold. Like, this is the gold rush right now with gaming, because this is something that we don't know we want, that everybody's gonna be using, and I think Sony, Microsoft, Google, even Nintendo are all looking into this right now, like heavily into this. Google will probably pull it off before the rest.
Yeah.
And the next generation of game consoles may be this cloud-based architecture, and that includes the Switch. So we're still going to have our collectors. Because, I mean, just like you, I'm an old-school collector. Of course I want my physical games.
Sure.
But, I mean, then again, I did want my physical DVDs and Blu-rays, and I'm using Netflix every day.
Touche. That's a good point for sure. And because it's cloud based, I guess there'd be no hardware, right? So that's one thing.
It'll be just like Netflix. We don't have a DVD player to play Netflix.
Right. Correct. So that's one gripe I have about the modern consoles today is you buy a game for the Xbox One, you've got to download it pretty much to, even if you get a physical copy, it burns to the hard drive, so it takes up your space. And even if you have a 500 gig, even a terabyte hard drive, it fills up pretty quick. I mean, the cloud-based thing is definitely promising. Now, when it comes to like the current three players, Nintendo, Xbox, and PS4, and online streaming and connectability, where would you put Nintendo? Are they last as far as online playing? Kind of where they're at?
For online play, absolutely. They are in the dark ages.
Right.
I mean, when it comes to online, like, Nintendo was the last to jump on. I mean, Microsoft was literally the first with Xbox Live. They completely led the way. I remember playing Halo 2. That was like the first mega title that went on. Before that was LAN parties, which I played too. But then PlayStation came from behind, and then they created a solid system and, solid service. But, like, Nintendo was always poor with it.
Right.
And, I mean, in all honesty, like, the first wasn't even, Xbox Live. It was Dreamcast was the first to really do it right.
That's true. That's true.
They just didn't really have. I mean, the internet and technology wasn't to the point where it needed to be.
What's weird? I mean, Nintendo had the technology. Even in the '90s, they had Satellaview in Japan, which was online.
Yeah.
They just never released it for one reason or another in the States. They kind of shelved it, and they were kind of like you said. They were kind of last to. Even the Switch was kind of slow to get onto online gaming for the Switch. It's been kind of a slow rollout for that. All considering, so I think Nintendo will be fine.
So the question I have, and the question I think we're going to see down in the comments section, is what are your thoughts about not owning the games? Because what is to prevent a Scott Pilgrim vs. the World situation to happen with literally half the titles where, okay, so you have the newest version of Doom. Well, when these servers are gone, the system is gone. It's gone. I mean, it's the same thing with Netflix. You go on Netflix and I have a bunch of stuff favorited and that
it's true.
License lapses. Well, guess what? I can't watch it on Netflix now. I got to find another way to watch it.
That's true.
It's going to be the same thing with games. It's literally going to be, all right, this license with Ubisoft and its software are gone, so now it's off the Yeti.
Or sticking with the Netflix analogy, right? Because sticking with that analogy, let's stick with it for a second. So Disney's coming out with their own streaming service, right? So all the Disney content on Netflix will eventually be gone, right? So what if another console down the road comes across and all those titles, let's say like EA releases their own, Ubi does their own, all of a sudden you're going to be forced to buy their console to be able to play their games, exclusively.
Well, so and that's just it. Once, it's not an if, it's a matter of when all the other companies will catch up, because say Ubisoft is on board right now with Google and they lock them in. Well, who's to say that 2 years from now Microsoft doesn't have their own, and now they get an exclusivity deal with them, and now they pull all those games off of the Google Yeti and go over to the next
So you're
Xbox
not buying the game, you're buying the rights to play the game. And I think there's a big difference.
You're just
right? I mean,
being
really.
able to play it.
Being able to play it.
That's it.
And so it also eliminates, and in a positive way, as a game developer, I suppose, it eliminates the piracy of things as well. Right? Because even piracy on modern games is a huge issue. I mean, there's a community out there in the dark webs that you can actually download like new Switch games and play them like illegally, right? So if it's a cloud-based, then I suppose that would help eliminate some of that, third-party pirated game, so to speak. So I can see that being a positive as a game developer myself. But it is interesting. You bring up a good point.
And you being a game developer, it will be very interesting to see how it supports indie games, because you think that indie games would be perfect for this since they're smaller.
True. So I'm going to call Google tomorrow.
Like imagine Assassin's Creed Odyssey version versus streaming City Hunter. Right. It would be so much easier to stream City Hunter.
Yeah, that's true. So I'm going to schedule a call tomorrow to call Google and get the exclusivity set in stone now. Hey, if money talks, man, money talks. No, I'm just playing. But,
I mean, that's the thing, though, is that like as things like this come to fruition, what do you think that the pay model is going to go? Are they going to go, you pay per title like we do currently with digital games, or is it going to be Netflix style where you pay per month, and then all of these companies get money, for the actual deal?
Well,
and then maybe they do some kind of analytic, because Google does analytics, and they can pay them per play or something.
I know, like, Microsoft does their own thing, right? Their monthly pay program where you can buy, pay monthly and download their old Microsoft titles, old Xbox One, Xbox 360 games. So certainly wouldn't be unheard of for them to do that, pay by month, like, $19.99 a month and get all these games unlimited. I think dealing with, I don't know how Netflix handles it as far as paying, movie studios and how that works. I'm sure movie studios, I'm assuming, get some type of cut. I'm assuming Netflix probably keeps track as far as how many people watch their show or movie, and they probably get some type of stipend or, based on that. So
and it probably depends on the level of movie. Say it's a Avengers or, like the Infinity War. Right. That probably, they're probably paying, Disney. Whereas the other side of the flip is that if the new 8-Bit Heroes wants to get on Netflix with Joe Granato, he's probably it's a different realm where they're pay per play or something.
Nothing about Joe though, right? I mean, I get your point though, but yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, you're talking a difference between a blockbuster movie and then a documentary.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
That's your point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a documentary.
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
like a smaller thing. So it would be the same thing with comparing the new Doom game to an indie game.
Right.
I mean, it's the same deal. So there would probably be two different pay structures on how they would pay out the developers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think from our end, I really would hope that they're going to go the Netflix pay plan. And it's the same thing that they do in arcades now, where you have like Galloping Ghost where you pay like $15 and get to play all day on free play.
Sure.
And you got other arcades like the one that's over by you, Tappers, where Tappers, you go in there, you pay for the booze and everything, but you have to put in quarters.
Right.
Old school style. You had pay per play.
Right.
So, like, there's two different pay models, and it'll be interesting because I would rather pay a cheap monthly fee, especially if I don't own the shit. Like, if I'm paying $20 to get Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and then Ubisoft changes the deal and it goes away and my $20 is gone, that's going to piss me off.
That's true.
If I'm paying $10, $20 a month, I mean, I play whatever I want. And then that's okay. If they remove stuff, I'm not pissed off. I'll be pissed off, but I didn't own it. There's no sense of ownership.
Yeah, no,
as a collector, that sucks.
Yeah. I think I mean, we'll be interested to see what they do, and they're about to announce some more details. Question is there more room for another console?
I mean, because the big thing is that, to me, the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Switch are still going to be around, so I'm still going to collect those.
Sure.
I don't, and if this is what I think it's going to be, which is literally a little HDMI dongle that you plug in, it's just another service.
Right.
It's not even a system at that point. It's just a service.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely room for another service.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is going to be the next generation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy to think about, man. So, food for thought for sure. Well, cool. Any other final thoughts?
I would say that all we're doing here is predictive analysis. Like, we're just predicting what we would like to see with this new Google. And it doesn't necessarily mean that any of this will come true, but I mean,
we're not.
I would be willing to say that we're about to see a major shift. I mean, we went from physical to digital, and with all the DLC, and then digital only, and then now we're going to just streaming based. And we saw the same thing with Netflix. I mean, Netflix was a disc-based company. They used to mail the discs out. And then they went to streaming a little bit, and then they had double plans, and now it's only streaming. And it literally kind of killed the physical market when it came to the general collectors. And then now it just goes to more extravagant things.
Right.
I think someone like Nintendo is going to come out ahead because of systems like this, because a lot of us older gamers are still going to want to collect something, and then we'll have less to collect, which will mean that we'll spend more money on the stuff that is out there that we can collect. It'll be super interesting.
I agreed.
For sure.
Agreed. For sure. So
what are your thoughts on it?
No, I just I agree with you. I think this is kind of the future of gaming. We're not fortune tellers, certainly, so we might be totally off base. We might be totally wrong. They may come out and say it's going to be a $600 system that is to be completely physical, and games it's going to be CD based or cartridge based. I mean, who knows, right? But we're just simply trying to assume, we're estimating and kind of guessing what's happening. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. As long as there's games in the future, I'm okay with it, at the end of the day. So it's not going to affect me from playing my Switch. It won't affect me from playing my old school games or even modern games. It is what it is. So I can't bitch and complain too much because my opinion is not going to change things one way or another. But at the end of the day, people are going to support it or not.
And again, like, the one thing that I've heard is that once you get over 35, you don't want shit to change.
Right.
Like, we get set in our ways, our old people ways.
Yeah, that's true. Change is tough.
And so this may not be for us.
Right.
Either.
We're probably not
it might be for the next year. It might be for...
Yeah.
I mean, because literally, if they put Minecraft and Roblox on this, my daughter's going to play.
Right.
Like, she does that right now on her iPad.
Right.
And so, like, that'll support that. That's streaming.
Right.
Like, that's the same deal. They're just going to be able to, with Google will be able to figure out to be able to put AAA titles, which is crazy.
Absolutely.
If we don't have to have a damn memory card or a hard drive, that would be excellent.
That would be sweet.
That is starting to get a bit ridiculous with these newer systems having to buy multi-terabyte hard drive.
I agree, for sure. So
I would be okay with that.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate your time, man. It's good talking to you as always. All right. And congratulations on your pocketbook, man. Your guide book.
Oh, hell yeah!
You'll give it a shout out real quick.
That was super cool.
Yeah, man. Shout out.
Yeah, man. I was associated with 3 awesome Super Nintendo games, man. Including Sydney.
Yeah, that was great. That's great. Can people buy it separately when it comes out, or was it Kickstarter exclusive?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the book will be available. I mean, I'm gonna have like 1,000 books.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot of
cool.
books. So yeah. Now the games themselves were limited to the Kickstarter. I'm only doing 30 total of each game.
Right.
So like, I might have 1 or 2 copies that I'll probably have with me physically at a convention, but that's it. I'm not selling any more online. Because I think I had 27 to 29 backers on each game.
Cool.
Sydney Hunter may be sold out. I think Little Medusa might have 1 or 2 extras.
Well, I appreciate being a part of it. And best congrats.
I appreciate you having it be a part of it. That really helped.
For sure. All right, man. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.